It is the NFL Seeing the Future, checking futures bets for the 2022 NFL season with a couple of DK contributors, Geoff Ulrich and Dietrich. DK Sportsbook, guys, has a bet available for which team will lead the NFL in regular season scoring this year. The Bills, plus 550 favorites in that category. So, Moose, is that the smart play here, or do you see a better value in that spot?
I mean, obviously we like the Bills. I mean, they're a good team. They were third in offensive in this category, just in terms of highest scoring teams last year. But I mean, you look down this list and, the fact you can get bigger odds on teams like the Chiefs, the Cowboys, even who led the NFL in this category and just pure points scored last year. The Bills just can't really be the bet here. I personally prefer the Bengals. I mean, you've got a second year of Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase going after it. You've got an improved offensive line in Cincinnati as well. I get that people are expecting a Super Bowl hangover, but even if the Bengals defense does start slow or something, it's just going to mean that they're going to get in more shootouts. They're going to be relying on their offense more anyways. So I think that for this category especially, I mean, there are numerous plays here down the board we could look to. The Bengals stick out. People are all over the Eagles at plus 1,500. I guess I don't hate that, but what about the Colts too at plus 2,000? I mean, Jonathan Taylor, now they have a quarterback who's not going to turn the ball over as much, likely. So lots of different ways you could go on this one. Not the Bills for me. They're the deserving favorites, but there is just way better value down the board.
You agree with that, Pierce?
No, I don't. I'll let Geoff chase the what ifs. We don't know who's going to have great seasons or what the schemes will be on these other teams, but we know everything about Buffalo. We know their players. We know their scheme. We know exactly what to expect. Yeah, the payout's not that great, but it's a pretty good payout for a team like Geoff mentioned, third most points last season. And when you look at this roster, do we think that they've peaked? I don't think that they've peaked at all. I think they're going to continue to get better. Josh Allen's going to get better. He's going to develop more rapport with his receivers. The line is there. And then you look at their draft. In the second round, they went with James Cook. He is a receiving running back, which tells us this team's going to continue to pass and pass. It's up-tempo. When you pass the ball, you stop the clock. That just means more Josh Allen. We want more Josh Allen. That means more points. I think this is going to be an explosive big-time year. Also, they play the NFC North, not a great division. They also play the AFC North, which I think is going to be a shootout division. Buffalo is the play.
Pierce, you could also bet on the lowest scoring team this season, and Texans unsurprisingly come in at favorites at plus 550 on the DK Sportsbook, just ahead of the Bears. The Atlanta Falcons, Matt Ryan's old team, is over there plus 600. So who do you like in this less prestigious category?
It's the Texans. The Texans are a bad team. They didn't do really anything to improve. They didn't get the head coach that they wanted. They wanted an offensive-minded head coach. They didn't get it, so they're not going to have the offensive scheme that they wanted. Davis Mills, he wasn't terrible, but that's because their expectations of him were incredibly low. Their offensive line is still terrible. Yes, they drafted a first-round offensive lineman, but that's going to take a year or maybe two for that to develop. The running back and receivers are unremarkable. Cooks is fine. Their second-round receiver is fine. Marlon Mack is okay, but these guys aren't great. I bury the AFC South a lot, but ultimately their defenses in that division are decent, and they should have no problem limiting the Texans.
What do you think, Geoff?
Yeah, again, it's the same story as the offensive category. I mean, Pierce wants to bet the favorites. That's fine. I mean, plus 550 is fine. But how do you not take a shot with the Seattle Seahawks here at plus 900? They're marching out Drew Lock and Geno Smith. It's 2022, guys. I mean, and we got a team. We can bet this team to be the lowest scoring team with Drew Lock and Geno Smith at plus 900. Pete Carroll's just drafting running backs. He's going to run the ball every single time, even when they're down 30. Plus 900 for the Seahawks has to be the bet here. Again, we're going to be going up against really good defenses in the Rams and the 49ers. And, even the Cardinals don't even have a bad defense. But I'm going to bring up the Cardinals too. If you want to take a real long shot bet in this category, the Arizona Cardinals to be the lowest scoring team at plus 3,500. I mentioned they have a good defense. That's not a bad thing. This team is absolutely centric around Kyler Murray's success. What do we know about Kyler Murray? He runs a lot. He does get injured. There's also animosity around the contract. There's no DeAndre Hopkins. If something happens to Kyler Murray, the Arizona Cardinals are going to be terrible this year, and they will absolutely push to be one of the lowest scoring teams. So you want to take a real long shot in this division, lowest scoring team, go with the Cardinals at plus 3,500.
We only have about 2 minutes left, guys. Let's work in this last question. You got a good division-related category head-to-head season matchups. You can find these under season specials on the DraftKings Sportsbook. Let's start in the NFC West. If you look at the Rams and the Niners head-to-head, okay? A Niners plus 380 to win both regular season matchups. Now, you look back, the Rams are the defending champs. You got to consider that, obviously. San Fran, though, did pull this off last year. So, Geoff, you like those odds?
Yeah, I do. One thing that we know about Kyle Shanahan is that he likes playing Sean McVay. And Pierce and I think, are going to be in agreement on this one. We're at least in agreement that we think the Rams are probably due for some regression this year. They're a little bit of an older team. They're very reliant around one or two players, which, if something happens to Cooper Kupp, yikes, right? So plus 3,800, I like this. I mean, it sounds like San Francisco is also potentially going to be jettisoning, Jimmy Garoppolo, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. Plus 38 or plus 380 is certainly not bad odds for me to take a shot on this. I do like San Francisco to sweep this one again.
Pierce, you've got about 30 seconds.
Yeah, the 49ers have the Rams number. The Rams are an overrated team. Their offensive line is going to take a step back this season without Andrew Whitworth, the Hall of Famer. And that's really how you beat them. The 49ers put pressure on the Rams in those two games during the regular season. That's how they won. I imagine they're going to keep that up. And that was a 49ers team that wasn't completely healthy, that was beating the future Super Bowl champions. I think the 49ers will definitely take the series.